కృష్ణ. కొత్తగా వచ్చిన వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా ఈ మామూలు సేవా ఆఫీస్ ఎదురుగా నిలబడండి. మీకు అందరికీ కొత్తగా వచ్చిన సందర్భంగా మీకు ఇక్కడ టెంపుల్లో ఏ విధంగా ముందుకెళ్ళాలి భక్తిలో అది సింప్లిఫై చేసి కొద్దిగా మీకు క్లియర్గా చెప్తామన్నమాట. ఆ కన్ఫ్యూజన్ అది లేకుండా ఇక్కడ ఎట్లా ఉండాలి ఏం చేయాలి అంతా మీకు తెలుస్తుంది. పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ హ్యూమన్ లైఫ్ అట్లాంటివన్నీ మీకు తెలుస్తాయి అనమాట. జస్ట్ అక్కడ వచ్చేసేయండి. ఒక 5-10 minutes మీరు స్పెండ్ చేయండి. ఎవ్రీబడి హూ కేమ్ ఫర్ ద ఫస్ట్ టైం న్యూ come to that seva office. In front of that we will tell you how what to do and everything. Okay. जो लोग नया आया वो लोग अभी आके सेवा ऑफिस का सामने कट जाओ. आप लोगों को जो क्या करना बताएगा. ओके. कृष्णा टेम्पल में कैसा रहना क्या करना वो बताएगा. ओके. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradha, Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana, Brajachana Ranjana, Yamunatira Vanachari, Jai Kunja Bihari, Yashodanandana, Yamunatira Vanachari, Bihari, Yashodanandana, Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Hare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Mai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Yuga Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samveta Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistake Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter number 10, Maharaj Raghuna meets Jada Bharata. Text number 3. So, it being a prose, I will only read. Atata Ishvara Vachaha Sopalambam Upakarna Karnyopaya Turiyach Shankita Manasas Tam Vignapayam Bhabavu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada. When the palanquin carriers heard the threatening words of Maharaj Rahugana, they became very afraid of his punishment and began to speak to him as follows. Purport. According to political science, a king sometimes tries to pacify his subordinates, sometimes chastises them, sometimes derides them, and sometimes rewards them. In this way, the king rules his subordinates. The bearers of the palanquin could understand that the king was angry and that he would chastise them. Text number 4. Navayam naradeva pramatta bhavan niyamanupatah sadva eva vahama ayam adunaiva niyuktopi nadrutam vrajati nanena saha vodum uhavayam parayama iti. Translation. O Lord, please note that we are not at all negligent in discharging our duties. We have been faithfully carrying this palanquin according to your desire. But this man who has been recently engaged to work with us cannot walk very swiftly. Therefore, we are not able to carry the palanquin with him. purport. The other palanquin carriers were Shudras, whereas Jada Bharata was not only a high caste Brahmana but also a great devotee. Shudras do not sympathize with other living beings, but the Vaishnava cannot act like a Shudra. Whenever a Shudra and a Brahmana Vaishnava are combined, there will certainly be imbalance in the execution of duties. The Shudras were walking with the palanquin without at all caring for the ants on the ground, but Jada Bharat could not act like a Shudra and therefore difficulty arose. Om Agnanatimirandasya Grananchana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadate Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parishana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadeshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurasve Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Chagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki the Prabhupada Ki Bhagavati Vacharam Hare Krishna. So before I start speaking, seeing the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, so that I can speak on this particular section of Srimad Bhagavatam for the glorification of Lord and purification of my heart. So we are seeing in this very wonderful section of King Bharat Maharaj how he was so exalted that he left everything, all his kingdom, and came to the forest to completely absorb himself in devotional service. And we see in the previous chapters how he got distracted with the small deer which he wanted to protect. So that protection, trying to protect for some time was okay, but then he continued trying to take care of that and became attached so much that he was not able to absorb himself in the devotional activities. And we know that how eventually he died and became a deer. And in the deer body, he was very conscious of not getting distracted. So he was staying in the Pulahashrama and trying to stay near the sages, be very detached in terms of his bodily activities and keeping it to minimum and trying to hear the glories of the Lord. And then in the next life, he becomes Jada Bharat. We see that how Jada Bharat He was completely inert to material things, Jada, inert to Maya, but internally very alert to Krishna. So he, although his father was trying to teach him all the Vedic principles, which are like preliminary. So as I told in one of the classes, somebody is like PhD and he is trying to teach alphabets. So Jada Bharat was not willing to get distracted by them, and he completely acted like a mad person externally. And eventually, when his father died, his stepbrothers tried to engage him in all the various works, giving him all types of stale food, and still he was not disturbed by all that. And eventually, we see that these dacoits, they capture him and try to give Bali to Mother Kali, and Mother Kali becomes very angry and kills all of them. And now, in this particular section, we are seeing that how once these servants of King Rahugana, they needed one more servant to carry the palanquin, so they caught this Jada Bharat. So Jada Bharat, whatever no service was there, or whatever comes, he's just accepting it externally, but internally his mind is absorbed in Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. He is conscious of Krishna. So that's why here we can see that although externally he is carrying this palanquin for the king, but internally he is very cautious not to hurt even the ants. Hmm. That's why in the movement of all the servants of the king, he was not just walking fastly, he was avoiding the ants very carefully. So that's why there was some jerk in the palanquin. So that's why the king is upset. Huh? So in the previous slokas it is mentioned. King Rahugana is asking, why are you carrying this palanquin unevenly? Better carry it properly. Because he was not knowing that how this Jada Bharat was very cautious about the ants while walking, not to walk over them. That's why he is going here and there. So here we see that the servants of king, they became very afraid of the punishment. And then they are speaking. So in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about King this Chanakya Pandits, Sama, Dana, Danda, Beda. That how sometimes you have to pacify the subordinates, or you have to chastise them, or sometimes you have to reward them, or you have to divide them based on the situations. In this way, the king rules the subordinates. It is mentioned here. So we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also some situations like Vasudev and Devaki, when they were being carried by King Kamsa after their marriage. So when Kamsa was carrying, he was driving the chariot, but when he heard the voice that the eighth son of Devaki will be the cause of his death, so we see that immediately he want to kill Mother Devaki. But Vasudeva was trying to stop. So that time he is trying to pacify King Kamsa, telling various reasons why he should not kill Devaki. Anyway, it is the eighth child, not Devaki is not the cause. So why are you unnecessarily killing her? The child is the cause. So like that he is trying to pacify, but Kamsa was not fully convinced. Then finally he thought that okay, he is not convinced with this. Then he finally, like here it's Dana, okay, reward. So I'll give the reward of every son who is born. Then he thought, okay, I can rely on this Vasudev because he is very honest. So we see also that after giving birth to the first child, Vasudev actually comes and gives. So Kamsa actually appreciates that honesty. Although later his mind gets changed because of other demons. But we see that how he applied this. So actually, in terms of engaging the subordinates, sometimes the superiors also have to apply these things. These four things: Samadana, Danda, Veda. So sometimes if you give a service to subordinate, they'll say, "Oh no, I'm I'm not interested," or "Why, I don't like this service." So specify. Okay, you explain how glorious is this service. Like somebody is not willing to go for book distribution, then you explain them how Prabhupada is pleased, spiritual master is pleased, how it is a glorious service, how so many will get benefited. So then a person's mind may get changed and he may be willing to do that service. Because initially his mind is in mode of ignorance or passion. His mind is not willing to accept. He's lazy or he is interested in some other things. So, no, you try to elevate him by telling the glories of that service. So then he may agree. Or sometimes people, like if you take book distribution only, in general they may not do. But if you say, okay, in marathon, you distribute 108 or 500 or 1000, you get from the hands of so and so Maharaj, you'll get this gift. Okay. Sab tali bajega, or some great soul will give. So then people get inspired. Okay, normally I may not do, but and anyway, it's marathon, and also we are getting this gift. So okay, let me do. But actually, like the gift also should be given so that the service continues. Sometimes if you allure somebody saying that okay, you'll get this, and then after that if you don't give, then people may get disappointed. Next time they may not have trust in us. And sometimes uh, punishment also is required, uh, but that is not done out of controllership or trying to chastise someone unnecessarily, but out of affection for a person. Like sometimes a mother may chastise his child, her child. Somebody is suppose whole day playing, and mother says, "Hey, come and study," but the child is not willing to study. He is only interested in sports. So the mother may request, specify or no, request by her words, "Please come. If you study, I'll give you this nice cake." So many ways she is trying to tell, but the child is not listening. Then finally, danda. Danda means not in Telugu. Danda is not sometimes pula danda, flower garland. Not that danda, a stick. You have to show the stick. You have to. Sometimes the mother may beat the child also, but that is out of affection for the child, so that the child doesn't understand the future. How the if he doesn't study, his future is not good. So the mother may chastise so that the child studies. So similarly, sometimes the subordinates may not understand how this particular service or particular thing is beneficial for them. So sometimes superiors may chastise for not doing that. So we should take in the right spirit, that this is meant for my good only. And then Veda, sometimes one has to divide. Like we see Britishers, even while ruling also, they try to divide the kings, because united we stand, divided we fall. So they made friendship with some, and then taking their strength, they destroyed the other kings who were, although they were all Indians, but then they divided them and they killed them. And ultimately they ruled. And even when leaving India also we see that the Britishers, they divided India, Pakistan. They created unnecessary quarrels between Hindus and Muslims. They thought that we don't want India to be very united and remain very strong. So they divided, and in that way wanted to make India weak. So these principles are there so that one actually engages the subordinates. So here, Maharaj Raghuna, he was very, we see in the next few verses also, he was angry at the subordinates. So actually, sometimes to have reasonable expectations is okay. But sometimes if we have unreasonable expectations, sometimes we may become unnecessarily angry or frustrated while taking care of the subordinates. So now in case of Rahugana, he was not knowing why it is happening. Right? So one thing is he could have asked who is doing and why it is being happening. Why is happening? Why it is happening like that? In the sense, asking in a proper way, not becoming angry. When you become angry and means when you have very high expectation, one tends to become angry and frustrated. When you want everything to be perfect, so then we may become frustrated. So once Gaurang Prabhu was telling, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakale Ashan. So this Siddhi Kami means generally the yogis who look after perfections wanted various siddhis. So Siddhi Kami, Prabhuji was telling, it also means somebody expecting perfection from devotees or systems which are there in the devotee society of devotees. So Sakale Ashan, we become very frustrated and lose our peace of mind. So he was telling, instead of expecting perfection, expect purification. Then you will not get disturbed. So there are reasonable expectations. Okay, devotees have to chant 16 rounds or do some minimum service. These things are there. But then sometimes unreasonable expectations may not be possible, right? Like suppose a authority is expecting that no, you have to every day distribute 100 books minimum at any cost. So it appears quite unreasonable, right? Because ultimately one endeavors, but result is in Krishna's hand, right? Then the authority may be frustrated, the subordinate also will get frustrated, right? So that's why Krishna is telling, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Natma Mam Shantirechati. So this principle, this is called peace formula. So this is applicable on the level of society or countries, but on an individual level also it is applicable to be peaceful. Because when we think that I am the controller, I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer, and I am the best friend of everyone, then actually when you act in that consciousness, we may lose our peace of mind. We may get frustrated. So ultimately Krishna is in control of everything and everyone. So when a devotee understands that whatever is happening is by Krishna's mercy, so we can try to inspire a person to render a service, but ultimately the free will is given to the living entity. whether he will do it or not. Right? Sometimes we expect, no, at any cost you should do it. Right? So it's like we are forcing, right? But we see that even Krishna, the whole Bhagavad Gita, he is trying to inspire Arjuna. And then he is telling Ete Chasi Tatha Guru. So you do whatever you like. He is inspiring him. But ultimately, Arjuna got inspired and he fought. So Krishna also we see that he is trying to inspire the conditioned soul through various ways and means. So many times he appears, so many times he gives philosophy, so many times he sends his dear devotees, so many ways and means he tries to inspire the conditioned soul. But ultimately, he is so patient, so much forgiving, right? Even though the living entity many times doesn't pay attention, doesn't get transformed, still he is not frustrated. Still he keeps on helping the living entity. Still he keeps on coming as super soul and trying to guide him in all the possible ways. So we have to learn from Krishna how he is such an amazing superior. That he has so much patience, so much tolerance in dealing with subordinates, right? Sometimes we are so impatient and frustrated while dealing, right? So, uh, so here we see that also, no, if we have that false pride, like King Rahugana, he is having that pride of a king, that I am the king and all this carriers should follow my orders at any cost. So we see that this pride can lead to lot of offenses. We see Daksha, Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, that he was very proud about his opulences, and we see when he entered that arena, everybody was respecting him, except Lord Shiva. So we see that immediately he became very angry, very upset. That how come this one person is neglecting? Although so many are respecting, he is not bothered about so many are respecting. You can see other way around, no problem. Anyway, so ideally a devotee should feel that I don't deserve even one somebody single person respecting also. But then okay, out of their humility they are doing this. So a devotee doesn't expect. But when somebody has very is proud and he has lot of expectations, then one becomes angry, like Daksha. So although only Shiva, and that too he was absorbed in his meditation on Lord, but still he became very angry, and we see the result. What is the result, right? So one should be very careful when we are given any leadership position. If false pride enters, it can lead to offenses. Like we see Indra also in the heavenly planets, when he was receiving so much praise from all the subordinates, and that time we know when Brahaspati enters, he neglects for just a few seconds, but then that was sufficient for the offense, and Brahaspati leaves. So there also, because of his pride, he didn't respect Brahaspati. He was enjoying those praises and whatever appreciation he was getting. So one should be very careful. So in the next verse here we are seeing the carriers are afraid of the punishment. So they are saying, oh, we are not the cause of this palanquin getting shaken or not going well. Because they are afraid that the king will punish. So they are saying that we are faithfully carrying according to your instructions, but this person is the cause. No, he is not carrying properly. He is not walking very fastly, swiftly. So here Prabhupada very nicely explains that what is the difference between the carriers and Jada Bharata. That these carriers were Shudras, they are not worried about stepping over ants, killing the ants. They are not at all worried about that. They are just blindly walking without seeing the ground. Or even if they see, they are thinking it's okay if we kill some ants, what is the problem? After all, they are insignificant ants. And after all, we are serving the king who is so great. So, so that's why they were neglectful. But Jada Bharat being not only Prabhupada is saying, not only is a high caste Brahmana, but is Vaishnava, is very cautious about not harming any living entity. Because he is saying everybody has spirit soul. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Suni Chaiva Sapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So he is merciful to every living entity, not only human beings. Like we see Prabhupada also, once he was chanting and he calls one devotee and he says, see, in the garden there is one small worm, it is struggling, so please go and give some prasad. And I heard one story. There was one Prabhupada disciple, there is Prabhupada disciple who was a tennis player, and he was in a final match, the tennis match. So, and both players had almost same, that whatever score, and they were at the end of the match. Now, whoever gets the point, they will win. So the other player, in tennis, they beat the ball in the rack, and so now the devotee tennis player, he is supposed to run across and hit the ball with his tennis bat. So, but suddenly when he starts running towards the other side to return the ball, he stops in between, and then obviously the ball goes away and he loses the point and he loses the match. The other player wins the match. So everybody is surprised that, how come he suddenly stopped in between? He should have ran across the court and returned the ball. And that too, no, it's the end of the match. And I think it was a final match, and they were able to get the trophy. So everybody thought that somehow he didn't run and he lost the match. So later, then somebody asked that why you didn't run across. So he said that actually when I was running across the court, I saw that there were some small ants. So when I saw those ants, immediately I remembered Prabhupada, that if I kill these ants, Prabhupada will not be pleased. So that's why I stopped. So although in the sense, in worldly sense, he was on the verge of getting, that fame, popularity, or trophy, right? But then his concern was not about all those things. His concern was pleasing Prabhupada, his spiritual master. So sometimes we can see that there is a tussle in us also, purity versus popularity. Whether I can sometimes skip little purity for popularity. So, but he was not concerned about popularity. He was concerned about purity of his heart in terms of following his spiritual master's instructions. Because if you see, sometimes there is this tussle in our hearts. What we should do. Whether I should follow this instruction, or in this case, maybe people will be happy if I do this. But actually, a devotee is concerned about always pleasing one's spiritual master. He is not concerned about pleasing somebody's minds or senses. His concern is about pleasing Guru Krishna. So that's why he stopped. So the whole world may not understand him, but Guru and Krishna are pleased. So we can see even in Prithu Maharaj and Indra also that Prithu Maharaj could have just said that what wrong I did. No, after all I am just doing this yajna for pleasing Lord only, and this Indra is unnecessarily disturbing me. So why you are telling me to stop? Tell him to stop actually. In one sense, even if he tells that, that is correct only. Because ultimately Indra was envious. Prithu was not doing out of pride or envy. He was doing for a good cause only. But he didn't argue. He thought, okay, I am told, so I'll just accept this. Whatever he's told, I'll try to follow. So, so it is tough sometimes, but ultimately our mind tries to distract us. But a devotee should be determined that I should follow Guru and Krishna. So even in this situation, Rahugana and this Jada Bharat knew that definitely if I walk slowly, there could be some problem. King Rahugana may become angry, or these other carriers may definitely also become upset with me. And there could be some chastisement because of that. But still, he was very cautious. In this situation, also, we can apply that in the sense popularity versus purity, or following the instructions for pleasing Guru versus trying to please somebody else, mind and senses. So, or our own mind and senses. So, but Rahugana was fixed in, Jada Bharat was fixed in his principles of Krishna consciousness, in following the instructions of Guru and Krishna. So that's why he was very, very cautious. We also see something similar in the Mrigari, the story of Mrigari. How this Mrigari was a hunter, and he used to kill so many animals and all. And by mercy of Narada Muni, he got transformed. So later when Narada Muni came, so that time we know that he comes running, but then he suddenly sees that there are so many ants. Then he carefully starts moving them aside, and then walks very slowly before going and offering his obeisances to Narada Muni. So I think Parvat Muni, he was very surprised. Oh, the same person who previously was even killing big animals and enjoying those, that same person is now is so cautious about even hurting small ants. Oh, Narada Muni, you are so merciful, or you are so amazing that you could transform such a cruel personality. That he is merciful even to small ants. So such a transformation happens because of Krishna consciousness. Titikshva karunika suhrida sarvadehina ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushana. So this verse talks about the qualities of a sadhu. Sadhu is not by external dress. It's by these qualities. So anybody who has developed these qualities, he is considered a sadhu. So in this verse also we can see one should be tolerant, merciful. No, he should have no enemy. All these qualities are there. So here Jada Bharat actually is exhibiting these wonderful qualities of a Vaishnava. So that is the difference between a Vaishnava and a Shudra, as Prabhupada is mentioning. Because the Shudras, they don't follow the scriptural injunctions. So they are not worried about pleasing the Lord or following the scriptural injunctions. But whereas the Vaishnavas, they are always rooted in following Guru Sadhu Shastra. So that's why they are very cautious while execution of duties. So they are not careless. So even in our execution of devotional activities, so one should be very cautious while rendering devotional service, in the sense one should render in such a way that one doesn't commit offenses. But suppose somebody is in mode of passion ignorance, one may commit offenses. One will not worry about no offending somebody while rendering devotional service. He may very mindlessly perform those devotional activities. So, but one should be very sensitive, as Jada Bharat here is very sensitive about even ants. So, a Vaishnava should be even sensitive for ants, then what to speak of human beings and fellow Vaishnavas. How much more one should be sensitive, right? If Jada Bharat is sensitive about ants, sometimes we see that in our rooms there are some ants or something, we just push off, or sometimes washing, sometimes cleaning with water, we think it's okay. We are not so much concerned. But we have to learn from this Jada Bharat how we should be sensitive. Now if they are sensitive for ants, then how much more we should be sensitive in dealing with Vaishnavas. How our words, actions, behavior should not hurt somebody unnecessarily, right? Yeah, sometimes unknowingly we may hurt, that also we should be careful, but at least knowingly we should not hurt. Like unknowingly we see that Rupa Goswami, he heard that Vaishnava who was limping, he was meditating and he was absorbed in meditation in the spiritual world. He was laughing at some incident there, and but some Vaishnava misunderstood. So okay, that is a different thing. But even knowingly, if we hurt a Vaishnava, so it is a very serious offense. So one should be very cautious. That's why even later Rahugana repents for his mistake and seeks forgiveness and wants to be instructed by Jada Bharata, and Jada Bharata kindly instructs him also. So, so we can also learn this lesson, that how we should be sensitive in performing our devotional service. Because sometimes we are like, my way is highway. No, we are not bothered about others, how others are getting affected by our devotional activities. So we have to be sensitive, right? Just like, for example, grossly also, sometimes in dance we are dancing and somebody goes fast around and they may hit somebody. That is a gross example. Even in that also, sometimes somebody is quite insensitive. But no, there are gross things, but there are also subtle things. So one should be careful about that, not to unnecessarily hurt the feelings or somebody's minds unnecessarily. So these are few lessons from this section of King Rahugana and Jada Bharat. So because Jada Bharat was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, so that's why we can see also that he remains unaffected by the chastisements or whatever is happening to him. Even in the previous section where the dacoits tried to kill him, he was completely unaffected. He was not at all fearful, not getting sweat that I am going to be killed now. He's just absorbed in Krishna. So we may not be on that level like Jada Bharat now. So he was completely, as I said in the beginning, inert to Maya, but he was alert to Krishna. So we have to develop a higher taste in Krishna consciousness so that we completely absorb our minds, so that we don't get affected by the dualities of this material world. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehna rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So these are few things I thought of discussing. So we discussed that how um, the kings used to use Samadana, Dana, Danda, Veda in the beginning. So we also discussed how, in terms of authorities and subordinates, how we can apply some of these principles, and how, as superiors, one should not think he is superior because he is a superior. He is given that service of authority, but he should not misuse that out of false pride. And how one should, in the next verse, we discussed how what is the difference between a Shudra and a Vaishnava, how Jada Bharata is unaffected and how is he sensitive even in dealing with ants, and how we should learn how we can be sensitive, at least with Vaishnavas to begin with. May not be ants and other living entities, but at least while dealing with Vaishnavas to begin with, we can become more alert and sensitive so that we don't commit any offenses. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.